would say, then Paul Swolstone would speak for 20 minutes. So, so Karen's crying, which is triggering me here. I'll try to maintain a semblance of decorum. I can't express enough how excited and thrilled and delighted I am that we're celebrating this day and this occasion and the establishment of this memorial. Oh, I guess we don't call it a memorial, just the remembrance and honoring of Allan Speer with this colonnade. For folks who don't know, this whole idea and all of the energy to drive it forward came from Ken Searle, joined the Impact, his husband David, and the whole group. So thank you. Mary Hartnett gets to live right next to it. I'm super jealous of her. But it's so fitting, just a few doors down from where Jim and Allan lived all those years, to have this for Ken, for Allan, right in the middle of the beautiful park and the beautiful neighborhood that we love so much. And it's also fitting that this is happening on National Coming Out Day. This is a world which, in many respects, I don't think Allan would entirely recognize, but is a world that he created. It's a legacy that he leaves to us. Just think, as of yesterday, people in North Carolina married the person they love. Yeah. Allan Speer helped bring a day like this to us. So we've heard a lot about his amazing achievements. It is remarkable, and we claim him actually as the first out legislator. Some say among the first. He was the first. Now we know Elaine Nobles came out before him, but she didn't take office until after he came out. So he was the first legislator. When the first elected, there was, I think, a city council member in Ann Arbor, Michigan, before him. But he's the first. And think about it. He enjoyed the highest esteem of his peers for the final 2 terms of his service by serving as the president of the Minnesota Senate, and then went on to enjoy the judgment of history by being named one of the 150 most influential Minnesotans in the history of our state when we celebrated our sesquicentennial. It's appropriate, of course, the purpose of this colonnade is to provide role models and to inspire those who come after us, because Allan spent a lot of time serving as a mentor, reaching back to people my age. And the reason, of course, that I stand here, Margaret Anderson stands here, Frank Hornstein also a mentee, Lisa Goodman. He really did want to give back all the riches that he was given by mentoring us and encouraging us to step up to ever greater levels of public service. And I also just wanted to share quickly how much he was appreciated. He had a huge national stature. I got to attend on an annual basis. This is how I got to know Allan so well. On an annual basis, the International Network of Lesbian and Gay Officials. He helped form that organization when it was just about, along with Karen, when it was just a dozen or so people. And we got to be good friends. And as he got more and more senior in his stature, he was, for a long time, the highest ranking elected official in the country. He enjoyed the warmth and also the respect and the regard, and was really recognized as a giant and a history maker. I remember towards the end when he was on oxygen, he was still coming to the meetings because he was an appointed official, and he had to come into the lobby, check in, and rest up in the hotel room. I went down and mentioned to a few folks that Allan was here, and he was up in his hotel room. And within a half hour, his hotel room was filled with people, all of them giants of history, and the love and the warmth and the affection that they showed towards him was deeply moving and deeply touching. I knew that already, but that example of how much they loved him and sought him out and wanted to be with him. And he seemed a little formal sometimes in this setting here in Minnesota, but he was so relaxed and hilarious and belly laughs and just had a grand old time out of state and in other cities. It was fantastic to be able to experience him that. But I told the story last night. We celebrated his yard site at Shirtikva. Phyllis Kahn was there, and she shared some words as well. My favorite story about Allan Speer is the story that one of my best friends tells me. He grew up here in Minneapolis. Allan came out in 1974. My friend was 13 or 14 years old at the time, coming up. He knew he was gay, but it was a tough time to be a gay teenager. And when he found out about Allan Speer, read his story in the Star Tribune, he then figured out where Allan lived, and he rode his bicycle past. Allan's house. Just rode his bicycle past Allan's house a couple of times. Just that connection, that symbol of hope, allowed my friend to grow into the man that he became. So thank you again very much.
Well, Scott, thank you for inviting me up just to say a few words. It is very emotional, and I, a few minutes ago, took a picture with June in front of the plaque over there, and I was thinking, last night I went to the movie Pride. I don't know if you had a chance to see it. I thought of Allan last night, because it was during the 80s. They were talking about what was going on, the labor movement and the strike in England, and they had the marches, and they were, you know, gay people were daring to stand up with labor and say they were GLBT. Actually, they said gay and lesbian. Lesbian and gay, they actually put the L first there. And they did what I think Allan and those of us who worked with him did, what he did so well, which was to understand that we are part of every movement for liberty and progressive change. He was just such a beacon of that, and he brought that forward. And I think I was thinking, one of the reasons I was feeling so emotional was when I was standing there with June. I was remembering we didn't have the marriage act passed when Allan died, and June would be in a little different situation today if that had been able to be a possibility. You know, the economic justice that reflects for so many of us. So I just wanted to mention that, and to say being a partner with Allan in a lot of the legislation that we worked on, and you mentioned so many different ones. You know, it wasn't just, of course 1993 was such a highlight, but the hate crimes legislation, the legislation that protected American Indian families, all of those pieces of law change were so important, and Allan was just so clear about the connections that we as LGBT folks have with all of those really important cultural communities. So and he understood the role that racism plays in that. So I just wanted to bring that up and say I'm just really honored to be with you all today and celebrate his legacy. It's all of your legacy, all of our legacy, and I just hope we can continue to live up to what he has inspired us to do. Thank you.